Tonight at Tropicana Field, the Rays continue what has the potential to be their most successful homestand ever as they begin a three-game series tonight, entertaining the Houston Astros. With all this winning, the Rays in the East find themselves running second only to Boston, 3.5 behind the Red Sox. And over the wild card race, well, they'd be one of the two qualifiers in the American League to advance to postseason if the season were to suddenly end today. Hi again, everyone, and welcome to an evening of Rays baseball with Brian Anderson. I'm Dwayne Stats. So good to have you with us. We'll be hearing from Todd Callis in just a moment. Well, the Rays have won 8 in a row, 7 on this homestand. In VA, they've won 9 out of 10. David Price, who will be on the hill tonight, has been back for 10 games, and he's had a direct hand in 2 of those wins.
Have we seen David Price any better? I mean, you could not have hoped for a comeback better than what David Price has delivered. It started with his first outing against this Astros ball club, and you see what he's been able to do over 16 innings. A 2-0 record, just a 1 earned run, 11 hits, has not walked a batter. And I think the stat that stands out for both of us is 1 3-ball count in 55 batters face. He has been outstanding, and it all starts with the command of the fastball, both sides of the plate. He's had that, and that has allowed the secondary pitches, particularly that backdoor cutter, to close guys out.
Oh, and by the way, the Rays happen to have another left-hander. He's won 13 games. His name is Matt Moore, and he'll be going to the All-Star game. We got that word yesterday, and so the Rays will have at least 2 representatives on the All-Star team in the American League, Ben Zobrist and Matt Moore. And Todd Callis sat down with Matt. We'll hear that after this.
Matt Moore on the mural in the rotunda as the Rays get ready for the Houston Astros at Tropicana Field, riding an 8-game winning streak and 12 out of 13. The Astros did beat the Rays for their 1 loss in the last 13, a game at Minute Maid Park. about 10 days ago. If you were going to pick a lefty who was going to be in the All-Star game going into this season, you might have picked a guy who just walked behind me, David Price, before the season started. But as it turns out, it is the other lefty in the Rays rotation, the young 24-year-old Matt Moore, who made the All-Star game, and he just found out after his 13th win yesterday. Quite a day it was, and we asked Matt to reflect back on that moment 24 hours after finding out the news.
You know, about like I did last night. You know, just extremely fortunate that, being added to the roster and being, for one, just being considered with that, the list of names of the guys who are on the team, and some guys who didn't make the team. I feel pretty privileged to be mentioned among those guys.
I know you officially heard when Joe Madden had you in his office and Jim Hickey was there. Did he have a little bit of a tip-off before that in the dugout?
Yeah, I wasn't in the dugout, but David came down to the little room right in the dugout, and he said something to me, and it was like, keep going, All-Star, and he walked out. But I didn't turn around. I just heard him say that, and, that was a little tip. And then whenever I came out of the game, I was walking up the tunnel, and he stopped me, and he told me that I was added to the team, and congratulations and stuff. So I knew going into Joe's office, what it was about. But at the same time, it was special to hear it from David, and pretty candid like that when nobody was around. I was happy about it.
Avoided becoming the first pitcher since 1985 with 13 wins to not go to the All-Star game. We have just about 3 minutes to go until the first pitch between the Rays and the Astros on this Friday night. Final weekend leading into the All-Star break. Enjoy all the action next on Sun Sport.
The All-Star break, Joe Madden has his sights set on sweeping out the first half of the season. It all begins with the reigning Cy Young Award winner, David Price, taking the hill right now on Sun Sports. Welcome back to Tropicana Field. The Rays will take on the Astros. First year in the American League for the Houston Ball Club. In Houston on the last road trip, the Rays took 3 out of 4. And this is the beginning of a 3-game series here against Bo Porter and the Astros. Houston comes in 32-59. They've dropped 3 in a row and 8 of their last 10. Now the batting order brought to you by Sweet Bay Supermarket. Jake Elmore is going to lead off at short, followed by Jose Altuve. Chris Carter in left. J.D. Martinez hits cleanup and plays right field. Carlos Corcoran is the catcher. He'll hit fifth in front of the first baseman, Brett Wallace. Matt Dominguez at third. Brandon Barnes in center field. And the number 9 hitter is the DH, Mark Krause.
Now taking the mound tonight for the Tampa Bay Rays going to be left-hander David Price, making his 12th start of the season. His numbers brought to you by Coventry Healthcare of Florida. But you can really throw those overall numbers out. Since David Price has come back, he's looked different. He's pitched different. He's been absolutely dominant to a level we may have not seen before in back-to-back starts, and looking to continue that tonight against the Houston Astros. Let's take a quick look at the defense as it lines up behind David in the outfield, left to right. Joyce, Jennings, and Myers across the infield, third to first. Longoria, Escobar, Zobrist, and Loney. Jose Molina will be behind the plate.
And while the Rays take on Houston here, the Rays, as we mentioned at the outset, running second to the Boston Red Sox. Boston will be playing on the West Coast tonight, taking on the Oakland Athletics. And in other games involving the East, the Blue Jays play the Orioles. That's in Baltimore. And the Minnesota Twins, fresh out of here, being swept by the Rays, go up to New York to take on the Yankees. You see David Price prior to the DL, and then the last 2 starts, no walks, in fact only 1 3-ball count in those first 2 starts.
Yeah, that spans 55 hitters. So, yeah, not easy to rack up a walk when you only go to 3 balls 1 time. He has been absolutely fantastic with all of his pitches, but starting with the fastball command to both sides, and especially what's important for David, even important for Matt Moore, is that glove side fastball. If they have that working and are able to hit that spot consistently, it's a long night for the offense.
We are all set to play baseball. David Price, reigning Cy Young Award winner, and pitching like it. Jake Elmore in the first pitch of this game is a strike. First pitch presented by Pinch a Penny. Elmore starts the night at 227. And a line drive just off the glove of Escobar, rolling into shallow left. That's going to be a base hit. Escobar trying to draw a beat on that one to his right, and Elmore is aboard.
And I think that's a play that Yunel Escobar will make a whole lot more than he will not. That was a hard hit line drive, no question about it. But Escobar did have a shot for it just off the end of the glove. You know, those balls that get hit hard like that, they got some action on them. This one actually goes into the glove and squirts out the top.
Jose Altuve, the second baseman, hitting .284. He lifts a fly ball to center. Desmond Jennings back to his left to make the catch on this one. So Altuve swinging at the first pitch. And the way Price has been pitching, why not?
Yeah, you do not want to get down 2 strikes to David Price. He has too many options. I mean, he can go fastball to either side. He can backdoor that cutter. He can even curveball. That's a pitch that you won't see quite as much, but still, you got to worry about that. And, oh, by the way, the changeup, too.
Well, there's Chris Carter playing in Houston. The Rays saw him the last 2 or 3 seasons in an Oakland A's uniform. He was up and down for a couple years, and last season had 16 home runs for Oakland. All 1 to him. 18 so far this year in a Houston uniform.
A true all or nothing type guy. I mean, he is going to rack up some huge strikeout numbers, already has for this time of the season.
Yeah, 122 strikeouts, and we're not midway through July yet.
You see, to go along with the 18 home runs. So feast or famine, and Bo Porter, Houston manager, not minding that, sticking him right here in the middle of the lineup. to have some kind of a threat offensively.
One and one.
And as you can well imagine, a guy that has that kind of strikeout rate with the power, he's going to be susceptible to off speed.
And that's something that we've seen Price utilize since coming back. We saw it with outstanding velocity in the first outing against Houston, and good velocity against the White Sox, although not quite as much as we saw against Houston. But we have seen the changeup a lot.
Yeah, and you know what? It's funny. You saw it more. You saw that more against the White Sox, but you remember the start previous to that was Matt Moore had started the previous night and was very successful with that changeup against the Chicago White Sox lineup. So David Price takes a page out of Matt Moore's book and utilizes that pitch more, and ends up with a complete game.
Elmore back in at first. There's Matt Moore. And Ben Zobrist happy to have a teammate on the All-Star team to go to New York next week.
Boy, deservedly so. Deservedly so. And what an outing yesterday to get that 13th win.
Liner into right, one hop in front of Myers, and up to second goes Elmore.
How about the little adjustment made there by Chris Carter, waiting back on that changeup, shooting it into right field? That is not something that he is known for. This ball up just enough. Good recognition here. You see him just wait, and a nice easy swing to right.
So a couple of base runners here in the first. J.D. Martinez, the right fielder, about to step in. Strike one on a foul ball. Martinez spent most of last year with Houston when he hit .241 and 11 home runs and led their team with 55 runs batted in. A little bit outside right there. Cutter stayed wide, 1-1.
Well, this team is looking for anything that they can get offensively. They're last in the American League in average on base percentage, second to last in runs. Lead the league in strikeouts by a wide margin.
And a base hit out of the reach of Escobar. They're going to hold Elmore at third, and the bases are loaded. So the Astros coming out here swinging. 3 singles, bases loaded with 1 out.
Think of the hits. You got the changeup by Carter. There's a backdoor cutter that just sliced right across the plate. Martinez had already seen one of those stay off the plate for a ball. He gets one that he can handle, gets it by the diving Escobar. And the Astros with a threat here in the first.
And the catcher, Carlos Corporal, on his way to the plate. 29-year-old backup catcher getting a start. He's swinging at the first pitch fastball, fouls it back for a strike.
You know, this team may still be smarting from the last time that David Price faced them, which was obviously the start that he came back from the injury, and he went 7 innings, punched out 10 in that game on 70 pitches, and they were absolutely manhandled. So you're seeing a little bit of that angst come out here tonight.
There's the line on his outing 10 days ago against him. Ground ball, that's headed through the middle, base hit into center. Elmore scores. Carter heads to the plate. A 2-run single to center for Corporon. And the Astros take a 2-0 lead against Price in the first.
Well, coming out aggressively, the Houston Astros lineup, and Corporon just goes right back up the middle. A big hack on the first pitch of the AB, and then this one right here, he just shoots the middle of the field. You see the Rays defensively playing him straight up, and he takes advantage. The 2-run single.
Martinez stopped at second. It's first and second with 2 outs. And here's Brett Wallace, the first baseman. He's been swinging a hot bat. Lefty on lefty here. Price's first pitch. Ground ball second. Zobrist Escobar 1. First base in time. 4-6-3 on the double play. Astros out with 2 runs. Rays coming in to hit. Rays lined up, presented by Sweet Bay Supermarket. Desmond Jennings leads off again, followed by Luke Scott and then Ben Zobrist. Evan Longoria hits cleanup in front of James Loney. Will Myers back in the 6th spot. Matt Joyce hits 7th with Jose Molina 8th, and Yunel Escobar, the Rays shortstop, hitting 9th.
Now taking the mound tonight for the Houston Astros is going to be right-hander Jared Cosart, making his Major League debut. You see what he's been able to do at Oklahoma City in 17 starts, a 7-4 record, ERA 3.29. He is going to feature a plus fastball that he can get up into the upper reaches of the 90s, 98, 99, sits around 94, 95. Also a curveball, a changeup. One of the top prospects in all of the game. Astros expecting and hoping for big things from Cosart.
They got him from the Philadelphia Phillies organization in a deal involving Hunter Pence. So the Rays get their first look, as we all do, at Jared Cosart. And Desmond Jennings takes the first pitch. That's a fastball at 95 for a strike.
You can see the smooth delivery, the ball coming out of the hand. As with, as we talk about it a lot, Dwayne, a lot of guys with big arms, the issue has been command. And if you're looking at a guy, 93 innings at Oklahoma City this year, 50 walks. And that is something that's been somewhat of a trend in his minor league career.
Desmond fouls that fastball back at 96. He's averaging a strikeout per inning, but he'll walk 5 or so every 9 innings as well. 2 strikes here, though, ahead of Jennings. The chopper to short. Elmore charges and makes the play. 1 away.
Well, let's take a look at the Houston Astro defense as it lines up tonight in the outfield left to right. Chris Carter, Brandon Barnes, and J.D. Martinez. Across the infield third to first, Matt Dominguez, Jake Elmore, Jose Altuve, and Brett Wallace. Carlos Corporan will be behind the plate.
Bo Porter in the middle there, the skipper of this Houston ball club. And to his right, Eduardo Perez. Spent some time in a Rays uniform.
Eduardo Perez was my first ever roommate. California Angels.
Another first.
That's right. He had the greatest suit collection, and he had a sheet that came along with it that told him what suit with what shirt and what tie, but they're all different ties. The way it was so professionally done. Little booklet.
And then the line shot by Scott, reaching up Martinez. That was the forerunner of Garanimals.
Yeah. It was
matched up.
Right. It was a paint by numbers for clothing. And so he would just be like, okay, this suit right here can go with these 4 shirts and these 12 ties. And he just could mix and match, and it was genius.
Well, no wonder people interviewed him to be a manager.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you?
That's right. That was a long time ago, too. Actually, that was 20 years ago.
Here's Ben Zobrist. And the pitch is a strike. Welcome to the club, young man.
Easy on young.
It's all relative. 1 strike the count to Ben. 2 outs with the bases empty. 0-2 now. Cozart, 23 years old. He's out of the Houston area. One ball, 2 strikes. Was born in League City down the road from Houston. Went to high school at Clear Lake High School. That's Jay Buhner's high school. And in fact, he broke Jay Buhner's hitting record his senior year. He had over 500 his senior year in high school, and went on to be a pitcher.
Hey, not easy in Texas either, where they tend to throw out prep ball players. Well, same with Florida, Texas, California.
Yep.
Get to play year-round. A lot of very good summer leagues. A lot of well-polished players coming out of those states.
And strike 3 called. It's a 1-2-3 first. Fastball caught Zobrist looking. 2-0 Houston.
Facing the Rays, Will Myers out in right field tonight. Before the game, he was getting some one-on-one instruction from Joe Madden. Also, Cuz George Hendrick helping him out as well. Sam Simplizio, a veteran coach, told Joe Madden about these outfield drills that he's kept with him ever since, and he continues to teach outfielders.
We were just talking about primarily footwork and fielding a ground ball right at you, footwork on a fly ball that you might have to play through on a sacrifice fly situation, or the ball that goes into a corner where you have to spin and turn. So those are the three things we talked about today. You could talk about wall play. You could talk about balls in gaps, staring the ball down as opposed to taking your eye off the ball and going to a spot. There's so many different things in the drills that Sammy had that were fabulous, fabulous.
Evan Longoria makes the play to get Matt Dominguez to start the inning. And guys, pretty good instructors right there, Joe Madden and George Hendrick. And Joe said he's worked with Desmond Jennings a couple of weeks ago and Matt Joyce last month. So this isn't the first time, but Will Myers getting a chance to go over some drills before the game.
Yeah, there's George Hendrick right there. And it's so reflective of this club. When Ben Zobrist went to right field, George Hendrick almost immediately said, this guy is going to be a really good right fielder, maybe one of the best. Well, he was very good in right field. Now that Will Myers is up here, Zobrist's going to spend most of his time at second base. Obviously, the Rays want Myers to play every day, but they don't want the fall off defensively in right field, so they go right to work with Myers in making him as good a right fielder as possible. And we saw that in those pregame drills today. Brandon Barnes, 2 strikes on him, 1 out, nobody on here in the second inning.
You get spoiled. You get spoiled by what you see up there. And this team is built on pitching and defense, being able to catch the ball, cover ground. We know that Will Myers is an athlete, but now he's got to fine-tune and hone his game a little bit at this level, which all young players do. In fact, everybody does all the time. That's why you see Evan Longoria out there taking ground balls all the time. Escobar taking ground balls all the time. Always working to get better.
Barnes pops it up. Evan near the dugout. Railing. He gets it. Reaching into the camera well. Longoria stayed with it. Great effort right there. Didn't give up and made the catch. 2 gone.
It gets tricky over there where the wall is low. There's a little bit of an angle. Then you have the camera well, the dugout. There's a lot going on. And here you're going to get a front row seat.
This is our Dunkin' Donuts high energy play of the day.
I want to avoid the camera.
So 2 gone. Mark Krause. Krause serving as the DH. It's a breaking pitch. Pretty good one to the left-handed hitter. Strike 1. Broken bat roller right side. Zobrist with the pickup and toss and a quick second inning. 1-2-3. 2-0 Houston. Sun Sports brought to you by Coventry Healthcare. Coverage so you can keep living the life you want. Go live. We've got you covered. And by Toyota. Let's go places. Evan Longoria is stepping in to lead off the home half of the second. He looks at a 95-mile-per-hour fastball. 1 ball, no strikes. Longoria and Scott yesterday teamed up for back-to-back home runs. Here's Longoria's home run coming in the 6th inning of yesterday's game.
Yeah, that was nice because in the top half of the inning, the Twins had come back, tied that ball game 1-1.
Chop to third. Dominguez throws a strike to first. Also good in that Evan had gone 14 games without an extra base hit. So good to see him connect.
And think about what the Rays as a team had done over those 14 games.
Yeah.
So they had continued to win. That shows you other guys chipping in. The pitching's been outstanding, and you hope that home run yesterday gets him going again. Because you remember he had that 2-week stretch at the beginning of the season without extra base hits, a lot of production, and then all of a sudden, once he got that first one out of the way, wow, took off.
Here's James Loney. The fastball is fouled right back. Only 7th in the American League in hitting. Lines it into right, but J.D. Martinez is there to make the catch. So a line drive on the off speed.
Poor placement. James Loney right on that pitch, and we've seen the big fastball from Cosart here in the early going.
Well, that was one of the things they had him in Oklahoma City to do, was to spend time trying to develop his secondary pitches, and the changeup largely the project for him. But at the same time, they still would love to see improved command of the fastball.
And that is where everything is going to start. And we talked about David Price and the reason for his recent run of success, his last 2 starts, and how good he's been. It has started with the fastball command to both sides of the plate. That sets up everything else, especially when you add on the fact that these fastballs are in the mid to upper 90s. That you can work with in a big way. But he may become one of those guys where he's not able to get complete command of the fastball, so you start teaching him kind of, what the Rays are doing with Hellickson. Forget, in and out. Yeah, that's ultimately that's the goal. But think down first. Can work with down, and then try to move the ball around. But he certainly has the arm, and the secondary stuff is just inconsistent.
Do a curveball for strike 2, taken by Myers, and then missed up with the fastball. 1-2 the count.
And when you talk to scouts about that curveball, they said when it finds the consistency that you need to pitch successfully at this level, that is a true power out pitch curveball. Sharp break. It's more not a true 12-6, but more of that 11-5 or 1-7, depending on what arm you're throwing with. That was confusing.
In his case, he would stick with the 11-5.
He would go 11-5.
Yeah. 2-2 the count out of Myers. Curveball taken out of the zone right there. He did not chase. Two outs with the bases empty. Now a full count.
Well, that's where you see the inconsistency with the breaking ball. He tried to make that adjustment, but you can definitely see the beginnings of a very sharp breaking pitch. And hey, we talk about Will Myers learning, on the fly while he's up here. Well, this is kid's major league debut. Get some butterflies going too, I'm sure.
And the fastball is lifted into shallow center. Barnes is there making the catch. And it's another 1-2-3 inning. On to the third, 2-0 Houston.
We go to the top of the third. A lot of talk today around the ballpark, of course, about Matt Moore and his well-deserved All-Star Game appearance that's coming up next week in New York. And several of his teammates and Joe Madden tweeted congratulatory notes to Matt Moore, including David Price, your pitcher tonight, who said congrats to Matty Mo 55 for his league-tying 13th win and finally getting that All-Star nod. He also has 3 hashtags on this thing, including one, "He's good," which is a nod to Jose Lobaton, who uses that phrase often. I talked to Matt about this tweet today. He said, typical David Price. Guy's been unbelievable. I would not be the major leaguer I am without his influence. Guys.
All right, thank you. And so Matt Moore heads to the All-Star game. David Price pitching tonight. His first pitch here in the third to Elmore, taken for a strike. Bunt foul. That's 14 consecutive strikes right now with his 0-2 count here on Elmore.
How about 90% for the game so far?
Yeah.
You can almost get to the point where you throw too many strikes.
Line drive. This one going to be caught by Escobar. Well, Elmore got one just past Escobar the first time. He got his glove on it to his right. This time to his left. He made the catch.
Yeah, not letting another one squirt out the top like that one did. This ball well struck by Elmore.
Jose Altuve.
Well, that's why you see these guys up here ready to hit. You got David Price filling up that zone with all the pitches. You better be ready to get after it.
Fly ball on the first pitch. Myers makes the catch. 4 pitches in and 2 outs. Chris Carter had a base hit his first time. Took an off-speed pitch into right. And a first pitch strike. So nothing but strikes right here in the third. Speed has him out in front with that slow curve.
Chris Carter got a base hit his first time up on a changeup that he stayed back on, hit into right field. But still, the book is you don't want to be predictable with the fastball because that's what he'll do his damage on. So David starts him off with 2 quick, high-quality curveballs to get ahead.
And he gets him right back with it. Stayed with that pitch. Strikes him out on 3 pitches. Bottom of the third coming up. 2-0. The bottom of the third in the game tonight and all season long. Tires Plus donates $100 to the Pediatric Cancer Foundation for every Tampa Bay Rays home run televised on Sun Sports. Matt Joyce will open the third for the Rays. Jose Molina and then Escobar to follow. Pitch is too low. Curveball right there. Two and 0. Fly ball to the opposite field toward the corner, and Carter is back there to make the catch, headed toward the low wall.
Matt Joyce making a bid to go right down the left field line. That shows you the kind of power not only that Matt has, but that Cozart supplies with that fastball. He got one elevated away and it was close.
Jose Molina. The pitch is a strike. Molina starting tonight at 2:59. Rays looking for their first base runner. Cozart has retired 7 in a row, making his major league debut. One and two. A high chopper over the mound toward the bag at second. Elmore had to reach back to his right to grab this one. Molina's out at first. 2 up, 2 down. Tuesday, Ben Zobrist, Matt Moore, and baseball stars gather in the Big Apple for the biggest event of the summer. Baseball's Midsummer Classic returns to New York with home field advantage for the World Series on the line. It's the 2013 Major League Baseball All-Star Game live from New York next Tuesday, only on Fox. Janelle Escobar. Jared Cozart, 23-year-old right-hander. Chopped to third. Dominguez up with it. His throw to first in time. And so the first time through the order, Cozart is perfect. 2-0 Houston. Out of the fourth. Brian Anderson has his suite booked for disco night tomorrow night after the Rays take on the Astros. Legendary KC and the Sunshine Band take the stage, guaranteed to rock the Trop. There are some tickets still available, so visit raysbaseball.com/concerts and bring your boogie shoes to the Trop tomorrow night.
You're going to see the platforms on mine, D-Wayne.
Are they battery operated? Do they illuminate?
I'll tell you this. They will make Kiss's platform boots look JV. Amateur hour.
I have no doubt.
And I'm going to tell you something else. The pants.
Yes.
The jeans that I'm going to float around. The boot cut. Could hide a family underneath.
We can't wait for tomorrow night. J.D. Martinez takes an off-speed pitch out of the zone, 1-0. That's news. The pitch out of the strike zone. That gives Price 23 out of 26. And now 24 out of 27 with a big swing and a miss.
He started to make a mockery of the strike zone. We talked about 1 3-ball count, first 55 hitters coming off the disabled list. Well, now he's thrown 3 balls for the game. We're in the 4th inning.
Inside, it's 2-1. And still to this point with the 2-1 count here, the only 3-ball count he had, 1 in his last outing. Liner into right. That's going to be in there for a base hit. Martinez is 2 for 2. 2 singles.
David Price trying to get this ball in the inner half, and it stays away, and that's what allows J.D. Martinez to shoot that ball the other way. And that what We talk about David Price and the glove side fastball and how important it is. He gets a lot of strikes on the inside corner with that pitch, but even when he misses, it serves a purpose. It ends up opening the outside corner. That one didn't make it quite there, and Astros pick up a hit.
Carlos Corporan, the catcher who drove in both runs in the first. And there's a strike. Cut to catch the corner. Price got a double play ball from Wallace to end the first. Now a leadoff single by Martinez here in the fourth. Keeping an eye on Martinez over at first. Foul ball right at Molina's feet. Caught a little part of him. Well, in the 2 starts Price has made, that fastball is average around 94, a little under. And we've seen him over that at times, 95, 96. A 2-strike count. With the base hit by Martinez now in 2 of the 4 innings, Houston has put its leadoff man on base. One hop, nice stop there by Zobrist. Out at second, Escobar's throw out there for the double play. Boy, Zobrist, a great job to start what turns out to be a double play.
Yeah, and I think that was another backdoor cutter, and Corberan put a good swing on it, hit it hard. Could have, should have had a base hit if it were not for Ben Zobrist. That a sharply hit ball dived to his backhand, and then Escobar finishes it off with a strong relay. I'll tell you what, right now a 2-run deficit for the Rays, but these Houston Astro hitters have come and mean business tonight. 2 outs there, but that was a hard hit ball too.
Well, they're plenty aggressive, that's for sure.
Listen, they have the worst record in Major League Baseball, and there's a lot of people down on the Astros in their first year here in the American League, but these are professional players. They've got a lot of pride. This is a guy who really shoved it against them last time he faced him, which was just 10 days ago. And so they want to come out here and say, you know what, you had your night, we're going to have our night tonight.
Well, and the other part about that, he threw nothing but strikes. So what are they going to do? They're not going to stand there, take pitches, and get behind in the count. They're going to be aggressive, and that's right. What we've seen.
That's right. He was aggressive against them in the zone. He's continued to be, but they're not sitting back and waiting around. They're getting after it. They've got a better game plan tonight. They've had a few more hittable pitches than they did that first game. That first game, I don't know if he left a pitch out over the heart of the plate.
There's a chop on the 0-2 pitch. Zobrist with the flip to first in time to get Wallace. That'll retire the side. The big play of this inning. Zobrist to start a double play. Here it is. 2-0 Houston.
this inning. As you know, Luke and his brother Noah are avid hunters, so Joe Madden, when discussing organizing your strike zone to Luke, put it in hunting terms.
Was trying to make it make sense to him and compare the baseball to prey. Have the prey come to you as opposed to you go hunting the prey. I guess they put those little feeders out there, and the little bunny rabbits come by, and all of a sudden they get their big guns out and shoot these little bunny rabbits. But it's no different. Let the prey come to you, and as opposed to chasing. I think the only difference for me in his success more recently is that the fact that he's been more patient at the plate. He's not expanding his strike zone. He's swinging at strikes and taking balls, accepting his walks. Period.
There is an Elmer Fudd joke in that soundbite somewhere, guys. Back to you.
Yeah, Safari Talk with Joe Madden.
How about him taking a little bit of a shot too? The little bunny rabbits come around, then he pull out the big guns. That's like putting a salt lick in the backyard. Put a salt lick in the backyard and the deer come up. It's cheating though, and I think it's illegal.
So don't do it.
So don't do it.
Yeah.
Well, only if you're involved in the, you can certainly photograph, enjoy, stuff like that. But you can't have a deer come to a salt lick, let his or her guard down.
No, it's not sporting.
Yeah. That's not sport at all.
That's right. 2-2.
It's like going to one of those game preserves and just, driving up in the pickup, opening the back end of it.
Yeah. And don't forget the next Joe Madden special on National Geographic coming up next week.
You do love how in baseball, it's not a coach, not a head coach. It's a manager. It's a manager of people.
Yeah.
You've got to relate
to all of them.
Great job. Yeah.
That's what he does. It's Madden's version of hunting pitches and organizing
the strike zone
or kill zone.
Some sort of
if you're Luke Scott.
Sometimes they go hand in hand.
There's ball 4 to Jennings. Well, I'll say this about Luke Scott. He found a ball in the kill zone yesterday and hit it a mile.
Hey, listen, that ball off the bat was a rocket shot, and it almost got back wall action.
Yep. You can see the last 8 games he's hitting .440.
Well, do you remember when he was going through that slide, a few weeks back, a month ago, where it just looked like he was just, out there playing pepper. There was no aggressiveness to the swing. Now you see him attacking that ball, and like Joe said, and Joe has said that about the entire lineup. He said this team as a whole has not been chasing. They've not been going outside of their strike zone, and that's why they've been able to put some innings together and have success. But you see what Luke Scott's capable of when he tightens up his zone.
And let's see what the Rays can do now that they have put the leadoff man on in the 4th. This is Luke's home run yesterday. Get a load of this.
Wow. See David Price's reaction. He's no doubter. Only to be not outdone, but backed up by Evan Longoria. And that was huge, giving the Rays the lead back.
The 1 strike pitch. A strike at the knees. 0-2.
This is a perfect pitch by Cozart. Right on the outside corner, right at the knees. You cannot throw it much better than that one.
Jared Cozart making his major league debut. He's 23 years old. He is not the first member of his family to pitch in the major leagues. A 2-strike count on Luke Scott. And Luke is out on strikes. Fastball. That's the 2nd strikeout posted by Cozart. Cozart's maternal grandfather, Ed Donnelly, pitched in part of 1 year with the Chicago Cubs. That was in 1959. He pitched in 9 games with the Cubs, went 1-1 with a .314 earned run average, and then wound up pitching in Houston for their minor league team the next 2 years the Houston Buffs in 1960 and 61. And then wound up living the rest of his life in Houston. Passed away in the late 90s. Pitch to Ben Zobrist is a strike.
And how about the path of Cozart? You know, he was drafted in the 38th round. And then to become one of the top prospects in the game, just weaving your way through the minor leagues. And by the way, he's only down there 5 minor league seasons. So he has developed and developed quickly.
Inside, snap throw down to first, and back in is Jennings. Count to Zobrist goes to 1-1, and Corporon taking a shot at Jennings on the pitch in, and then he had the hitter as the screen.
Yeah, and that's always nice. You know, it's nice if you can pick up and out on that. That's just bonus. But what you want to do is you want to limit that secondary lead. You want to make Desmond Jennings cognizant of the fact that, hey, I'll throw behind you. So maybe you're not quite as aggressive on the secondary lead. Maybe that leads to you not being able to go first to third.
There goes Jennings. Pitch is a strike, and the throw's not going to be in time. Corporon had a little difficulty unloading. And so a steal for Jennings, his 15th of the year.
If you have to double clutch on Jennings, eat it. Right here. If it ain't coming out by now, forget about it. You are not going to get him unless he slides completely past the bag. Which I guess with his speed, maybe that's worth a shot.
So Jennings stealing his way into scoring position.
We've seen him so much more active in that part of his game.
1-2 to Zobrist, chopped to third. Dominguez makes a wide throw to first, but Wallace keeps his foot on the bag. So 2 outs. Yeah, that's 8 consecutive steals now for Jennings.
Well, he was at 1 point 7 out of 13, barely over 50%. A guy who was thrown out twice last year for the season. So, listen, I think that goes hand in hand with the on-base percentage. I think you see him out on base more. He's got more confidence to steal bags, not as worried about, well, listen, I haven't been getting on base a whole lot, putting a lot of pressure on himself. He's out there letting it rip, and he is swiping bags like you expect him to now.
Pitch into Longoria is a curveball, and that's a strike. Pretty good first pitch there. Cozart, a guy who throws 95 or 96.
Yeah, you're not going up there typically looking for the first pitch curveball, and it's so deflating. He rolls that in there, strike one. You're like, ugh.
Curveball again, chopped down the third base side, foul.
That's why the secondary pitches can be a huge weapon for these hard throwers. We see the Rays guys doing it all the time. You see Matt Moore doing it. Drop in that first pitch curveball. Hitters are up there. They're concerned with the heater right off the bat, especially early in the count. Guys don't go up hunting first pitch hooks. You know, they'll hunt the first pitch heater. But first pitch curveballs, a lot of those get taken. And if you can have command of that pitch, well, you can get a lot of at-bats where you're 0-1 right now.
Think they want this up?
And a high fly ball into right. Martinez there, and that will retire the side. Rays leave a man at second. Time for the Just for Men Auto Stop foolproof stat. Most extra base hits in Rays history. Well, Carl Crawford still tops that list. Now playing for the Dodgers, but Evan Longoria has reached 340 and has caught B.J. Upton in 728 games. B.J. 966 in a Rays uniform. Evan 0 for 2 tonight. And we go to the 5th inning with the Houston third baseman, Matt Dominguez, to lead off. Dominguez started the night at 225. He has 11 home runs and 45 runs batted in. And that after a slow start in the power department for Dominguez. One strike to count to him. Fastball for strike 2. One strikeout tonight for Price through 4. There's that one into the dirt.
For the most part, that you could tie that directly to the approach of the Astros hitters, and they've not allowed him to get to 2 strikes very often. I mean, they're up there swinging right away, putting a lot of balls in play.
Liner up the right side, and that's going to be in there. Back toward the corner. Myers will have to turn and make the throw back into first. That's a move he worked on before the game. A double for Dominguez.
Well, Dominguez and these Houston Astro hitters in general, especially the right-handed hitters, which the majority of the lineup is, they have been going after that backdoor cutter, and that was not a bad one there by David Price. But look at that, Dominguez going off the plate, just putting that ball into play.
Brandon Barnes. Fly ball right field. Myers makes the catch, and he unhinges a throw up the left field side of third as Dominguez advances.
Dominguez is going to challenge Will Myers at his arm on this fly ball, medium deep right field, and he comes up throwing, but that ball just sails. You see it just take off on him.
Said Dominguez is now at third with 1 out, and the Rays will pull the infield up with the left-handed bat of Mark Krause about to step in.
This is Joe Madden at his finest, aggressive with the defense, did not want to allow the Astros to extend this lead, and likes this matchup lefty on lefty.
First pitch is a fastball. 94 on that fastball for a strike. And so far, we really have not seen that David Price high velocity fastball tonight.
Not quite there the first time around against this Astro team. That there he would. How many pitches did he have? 95 plus, 25, 30 of them. Almost every one. Not quite there tonight, but still can be awfully effective at 94. There you go.
There's 95 for strike 2.
And that was
in a spot here where he really could use that.
Yeah, yep. And this is where you'll start to see David reach back and try to grab that extra 1 or 2. That one you could tell smooth and jumping out of the hand. Now I got a chance to put him away.
Going to pitch around the double by Dominguez, who's now at third, moving up on the fly ball. And a swing and a miss, 95. 3 fastballs there, 94, 95, 95, to get the much-needed strikeout.
And boy, and did not shy away, did not try to trick Krause, just flat out overpowered him. First pitch to get ahead, the next 2 were just dotted up away. Big-time velocity and a big strikeout. Be careful with this guy too. Line drives hit very hard. We saw him in Houston. He is aggressive. He's got a big swing for a leadoff hitter.
1 for 2 tonight. Elmore. And a fastball, 95, misses.
He is not going to get cheated. He's going to be aggressive off Price with everything that David's been throwing in the zone.
He was 0 for 4 against Price in Houston, a couple of ground balls and 2 strikeouts. But Price overpowered him a couple times. Gets a strike there called at 94. Elmore getting a pretty good look at shortstop for Houston. They're looking for someone to come in and take over that spot.
Tell you what,
94 again for a strike.
If you're a Houston Astro, think about the opportunity that's been presented to you. A complete rebuild year. No one's shying away from that. No one's trying to claim anything but that. But Bo Porter and management are looking for pieces. And everybody that's getting any kind of playing time this year, they're looking at you. This is your opportunity. You talk about studying, extra film work, early work, doing everything that you can to seize upon that opportunity, become a regular player in the big leagues.
Ground ball towards short. Escobar across his body gets Elmore, and that retires the side. Leadoff double, and they leave a man aboard. Bottom of the 5th, James Loney's going to lead it off for the Rays. They're down 2-0. Two 2-0. Rays trail the Astros. Bottom of the 5th inning coming up with James Loney, Will Myers, and Matt Joyce due up against Jared Cosart, who's making his major league debut and has yet to give up a hit through the first 4 innings. He walked Jennings to lead off the 4th. Desmond stole second and was left on base. And the first pitch strike. Fastball into Loney. Cozart had been pitching at the AAA level in Oklahoma City. It's 1-1. In fact, he was charting pitches there the other night when his manager Tony DeFrancesco called him in and read him a little bit of the riot act, accused him of charting pitches while wearing flip-flops. And in fact, he really had sneakers on, but he gave him the business and then told him, oh, and by the way, you're being called up to the big leagues, so go get him.
The way that is done, and I'll tell you what, that had to have caught him by surprise. You think you're getting aired out for flip-flops. Or they were going to say, and by the way, leave those flip-flops here in AAA. They were closed-toed shoes in the show.
2-1 the count on Loney.
So he will never forget that moment.
Chopped to short. No more. Oh, a low flip over there. And Loney's out as Wallace digs it out. Let's check in with Todd Callis. Todd?
Quite a lot going on this weekend here at Tropicana Field. You've got a couple of concerts. You guys have mentioned Casey and the Sunshine Band, Carly Rae Jepsen Sunday. Also Sunday, DJ Kitty Confetti Globe, the first ever, brought to you by Sagicor. First 10,000 kids 14 and under get this DJ Kitty Confetti Globe. We're actually going to give it to kids who aren't 14 and under because they're part of the group that won the Rays Executive for the Day. Gary Heller, we have Shannon, we have Josh, we have Zach, all here as the Rays Executive of the Day. We're going to talk with Zach. How did it go today?
It was wonderful. It was really nice seeing the business side of baseball this afternoon. Andrew Freeman and Matthew Soderman, real stand-up guys. I think we got a great ball club here. It was really nice seeing the other side.
We got to have lunch with the boys, Matt and Andrew, before the game, down on the field, meeting some players and meeting the broadcast crews. You got to check out Dwayne and BA in the radio.
Oh, yeah. Dwayne Staten, Brian Anderson. Hear him all the time when I watch the games on TV, and it was cool to put faces to the voices.
Very cool. Gary, enjoy the rest of your night. See if we can get this thing turned around. Shannon got to go out and hand out the lineup cards before the game as well. So, guys, the Rays Executives for the Day enjoying the front row seats. Back to you.
All right. Thank you very much. Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
And then what a day it had to be for all of them.
Yeah, how about it?
That's really cool.
Yep.
See, that if you great bids, good cause, great for charity, and a great time. And she's got the snow globe. That's a little sneak preview of the DJ Kitty snow globe.
Does it actually snow, though?
Well, is that snow inside?
It's got to be rain, right? It's got to be rain. It can't be snow. It doesn't snow.
Only in confined areas here. Climate controlled. And it is inside DJ Kitty's globe. Very, very confined. There's ball 4. Myers draws a walk.
Cats are known to have small brains.
Well, a base runner for the Rays. 1 on, 1 out for Matt Joyce. Anyway, congratulations to the Hellers. That's just a great day for them, and thanks to them for contributing to the Rays auction and all the great causes that it represents.
Well, when I got a chance to talk to him down there, and asking them how the day was, and they said, listen, we're just getting to, game time. Game's about an hour away, and we've had a full day already. They were already just about worn out. Now right down there behind home plate, getting a good view of this. So obviously a package that's well worth it.
Yeah. One strike the count to Matt Joyce. Started to go, and that pitch just missed. Boy, that looked pretty good.
It sure did. And you got pitchers tonight, for the most part, have done a good job of commanding the zone. And this right here, boy, oh boy.
Well, Jim Kellogg was right, just off the plate. A 1-1 count. Cozart retired the first 9 men he faced. Then he walked Jennings, retired 4 more, and walked Myers. And he picks up the zone there to even the count. It's 2-2. Matt hits it on the ground to Altuve. Elmore 1. Wallace 2. 4-6-3 on the double play. We're through 5. 2-0 Houston. It's a 2-0 ball game. Let's take a look at the AT&T social media poll. Tweet your votes to @SunSportsRays. Who would be the biggest among non-Rays in the American League to qualify as the top All-Star snub? TB1 Grant Balfour, TB2 Josh Donaldson, TB3 Derek Holland, TB4 Raul Ibanez, or TB5 Adrian Beltre. That's a great field right there. You take any of those guys.
Yep.
I mean, Donaldson's having a great year at third. Balfour, we've talked about him the last couple telecasts. Ibanez, I think he has 22 home runs. And Beltre, here's a Gold Glove third baseman. He's still producing offensively. He's in the top 10 in the league in hitting. So those guys off the All-Star team. So you can let us know who your pick would be for the biggest American League non-Rays All-Star snub.
Who you got?
Well, Balfour's been so good. Donaldson's having a great year. He's not a big recognizable name, but boy, what a year he's having. Beltre with the track record, great year. I mean, I'm still thinking Balfour with what he's done. He's been perfect.
Yeah, 24 out of 24. He's got opponent's average against 195. He's got a 1.72 earned run average. And oh, by the way, that 24 out of 24 this year is following up the 17 out of 17 he finished last year with. So 41 straight, and that breaks a record set by Dennis Eckersley.
Yeah, if you're breaking Dennis Eckersley's record, I mean, you're doing something really great.
Well, I know of two that have been broken. Balfour with the 41, and then you know who last year.
Rodney last year.
With the ERA.
Best ever.
There you go. So, yeah, if you're breaking his records, you deserve to sneak into the. And here's the thing that's sad is not only do I think that he's the biggest snub on that list, but he doesn't even make the final 5 of relief pitchers. Yeah. All relief pitchers.
Yeah. Altuve's out on strikes on a curveball. Yeah, that's. how he could not have been on that list.
That's what I mean.
I mean, you know, the manager makes those selections with significant input from the commissioner's office. So what are they doing up there?
By the way, nobody out there in TV land could see this, but Dwayne just winked at me.
It's a developing relationship. Here's Chris Carter, little roller to the right side. Loney with the toss to Price. So 2 outs, 2 up, 2 down here in the 6th. Yeah, that's the real mystery. The Balfour not being on that is a real mystery.
Number 14, J.D. Martinez.
And now J.D. Martinez. Seeing as how Raul Ibanez, we've just been reminded that he's 41 and has hit 22 home runs.
So it's possible you can still be old and productive.
Broken bat, ground ball, shortstop. Escobar to Loney. 3 up, 3 down. I like the sentiment. More people should be appreciative. Baseball on Sun Sports is brought to you by Tampa Bay Radiation Oncology. When cancer strikes, strike back with CyberKnife. Available at Tampa Bay Radiation Oncology. By your Gulf Coast Honda dealers. Visit your Honda dealer for great lease and finance deals on fuel-efficient Hondas. And by Checkers. Feast on. Ted Williams Hitters Hall of Fame. Some of the exhibits. And if you haven't been there, it's a lot of fun. Entertaining and informative. Fun for all ages.
Sold.
Here is Jose Molina. Molina lifts one into right center field, and Martinez crisscrossing with Barnes. Barnes making a dive, and he held on. How about that?
Oh, I got deked out there.
I don't know how he made the catch with Martinez crossing in front of him.
That's why I assumed that Martinez was the one that was going to make the catch right there. Oh, my. Oh, my. You're talking about maintaining concentration. Goodness. I mean, that was the greatest deep job in the world by Martinez to try to get a guy to miss a ball. I mean, truly, that's how you would do it. And he still comes up with the catch. Outstanding.
Despite a little help from his friend, Barnes still made the catch. Here's Janelle Escobar. Pitch low and away. 1 ball, no strikes. Be caught by Altuve for the second out. Interesting, the pitch count and the breakout. 63 pitches for Cozart, 36 strikes and 27 non-strikes, which is indicative of the way he has pitched throughout his career. And yet he's walked only a couple so far, a couple strikeouts. Price, on the other hand, has made 52 pitches through 6. Only 6 non-strikes to go with 46 strikes.
Yeah, that's absurd.
Here's Desmond Jennings.
Cozart, he does have the 2 walks, but other than that, his balls have been well placed.
One strike, the count to Jennings. 0-2. Two up, 2 down. And Jennings, did he go? He checked in time, says Eric Cooper. It's 1-2. Houston with 2 runs, 6 hits. The Rays have had only 2 base runners. A walk to Jennings in the 4th, a walk to Myers in the 5th. No hits off the young right-hander. The breaking ball is over but low. 2-2. Breaking ball, chopped to third. Dominguez backs up, fields, and throws. And 1-2-3 go the Rays in the 6th inning. And another look at the catch by Barnes in center. 2-0 Houston. Coming up Sunday, the Rays take on the Astros in the proverbial first half finale. And pop sensation Carly Rae Jepsen will be performing after the game. Concert's free with Sunday's ticket, and fans can take in the concert from the field by purchasing a field access wristband. For tickets, Visit RaysBaseball.com/concerts or call 1-888-FAN-RAYS. Maybe. Brian Anderson already has.
If you think that my outfit for tomorrow night's concert's good, wait till you see what I'm going to be sporting for the Carly Rae Jepsen.
Maybe.
Oh, it's not going to be a maybe. It's a definite.
Okay. I'm sure whatever you wear will be well placed. Carlos Corporan leads it off, and he takes the first pitch. That's a strike.
Well played, Stats. Well played.
Wallace next, and then Dominguez. First pitch strike again here by Price to open the 7th. And just a bit there, 1-1. Corporan drove in both runs in this game. That came on a base hit in the first inning. It's a foul ball. Out of play. Back up the right side. 1-2. That's a bit inside. Kellogg appeared to think about it for just a beat or two. Good fastball in there. David Price nodding his head a little bit. 2-2 now. Roller to short, charged by Escobar. Throw to first in time. Corporan, the catcher, busting it down the line, but the throw in plenty of time. Tonight's game available in Spanish via SAP, brought to you by Coventry Healthcare of Florida as we play here in the 7th inning. David Price has thrown only 8 pitches out of the zone, 57 total pitches, 49-8 his breakout.
I mean, look at that. That's like something you do in Legion Bowl.
And Price near the third base line makes the catch. 2 gone.
A heads up there by David Price. He realizes that pop-up doesn't have enough on it. Going to be a tough run for Longoria. So he immediately takes charge. Watch this. Already realizing. Takes a peek and says, no, I got it.
So 2 gone in the 7th. Strike to Matt Dominguez. Dominguez had a double in the 5th. Takes a curveball out of the zone. It's 1-1. Hot shot to third beneath the glove of Longoria and into left. A base hit for Dominguez. He has 2 of the Houston hits tonight.
How about Dominguez takes one the other way for a double and then hits this ball hard enough that you see Longoria lunging out for it, is able to sneak it by and underneath the glove. Takes one to right, now up to the left side.
Here's Brandon Barnes. Barnes made that great catch in center field on the ball hit by Jose Molina in the bottom of the 6th. The pitch is in there for a strike. Price still with just 63 pitches here, 2 outs into the 7th. He's had 3 very low pitch count innings. In the 2nd, he made only 6 pitches, 7 in the 3rd, and just 5 in the 6th inning. Going to get the final out here. See if the Rays can get their offense going against Jared Cozart. High fly ball center field. Jennings is there waiting. Houston out in the top of the 7th. 7th inning stretch time. Rays trail 2-0. Inside Tropicana Field, we go to the bottom of the 7th inning. Jared Cozart making his major league debut tonight. Longest outing in the minor leagues this year, a 7-inning stint in which he made 97 pitches. He's made only 69 pitches through 6 in this game. And Luke Scott leads off the bottom of the 7th. 1-0. Rick Odioso, our esteemed statistician and baseball historian, has done some exhaustive research. This pitch is in there for a strike, and he's found that the only no-hitter thrown in a major league debut in history was thrown by one Charles Leander Bumpus Jones in 1892.
It's one of those good throwback names, man.
Bumpus. There you go. He checked. The count is 2-1. You talk about long seasons. That was on October 15th, 1892 for the Reds against the Pirates. The downside of that, he would make only 7 more major league appearances after that. The last game of the season that year, October 15th. Ground ball short. Elmore shaded toward the middle. And Scott is out number 1 in the 7th.
Bumpus. Bumpus sounds like something you don't want to come down with.
Really?
I'm down with a bad case of bumpus.
Yeah. Bedridden with bumpus.
Yep.
Running a high temperature. Here's Ben Zobrist.
October 15th. When was it? So would they have just one playoff series?
They didn't have the World Series, though.
Or I mean, something. They had to have it, or they just crowned champion. 1892. They're playing with rolled-up socks anyway.
Such a disdain for history.
Only to be funny.
1-0 the count to Zobrist. To strike, and it's 1-1. It's outside. 2-1. This has been quite a debut for young Jared Cozart.
Complete command. He has been in complete command.
And a liner, one hop and out of the reach of Altuve. There's a base hit. So the Rays pick up their first hit provided by Ben Zobrist. It comes 1 out into the 7th inning to break up the no-hit bid by Jared Cozart.
Well, and now you see, and this is interesting too, Corporon coming in. Of course, third baseman Matt Dominguez comes over to talk to him because you give up that first base hit, and he has been cruising. Now what you want to do is keep the game in order. This is still just a 2-run ball game. And a lot of times you see these no-hit bids, when they finally get broken up, it starts to unravel quickly. Pitcher is extremely disappointed. Got to find it quick and get back up on that bump and continue to make quality strikes. Been doing that all night long.
Here's Evan Longoria. He has grounded out, did a fly ball to right in the 4th. And that's low and outside.
Now here's another reason why you need to make quality strikes, because with Evan Longoria lurking, and then you got Loney, then you've got Myers, 3 guys that are capable of big-time damage. And I think the last 2 misses here by Cozart have been his 2 worst misses of the ball game.
And Altuve comes in from second base to spend a little bit of time with him now.
Yep. Letting him know maybe a defensive placement, and also just to give him a breather. Try to let him take time to gather his thoughts. You can see Altuve upset that he didn't get to them. Hit by Ben Zobrist, but
and a foul ball back, straight back, and Longoria had a nice cut.
Well, 2-0 count, big fastball guy, does not want to fall behind 3-0 with off speed. So Evan figuring he's going to get a fastball, he does, and he puts a big swing on it. Fouls it back.
One on, 1 out. Rays down by 2. Ground ball 3rd. Dominguez to Altuve and over to first. Cozart gets the 5-4-3 double play, and the Rays are out in the 7th. 2-0 Houston. Tampa Bay Rays and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. The accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Tampa Bay Rays. Jared Cosart has allowed 1 hit now through 7 innings, 81 pitches. So this has been a very impressive major league debut for Jared Cosart.
He's been in complete command. I mean, really, you talked about the ball strikeout ratio, but the times that he has been out of the strike zone, he's been in command of the counts. A couple of walks mixed in that'll drive that number higher, but boy, he's been in complete command all night long.
Yeah, his late maternal grandfather would be proud. He pitched in 1959 for the Cubs, and in his major league debut in relief, he got the first hitter. He faced Roy McMillan, the shortstop, to ground out to third, then struck out Eddie Casco. Gave up a hit to the pitcher Bob Perkey, and in relief in 3 innings gave up 1 earned run in his debut. And the grandson, Jared Cosart, 7 shutout innings so far of 1-hit baseball. Here's Mark Krause. And a first pitch strike to Krause. That's 24 out of 27 first pitch strikes for David Price.
Well, I mean, incredible. I mean, he just continues to pound that zone and save for that first inning. Where Houston Astros, they came out aggressive against David, and for good reason. He really carved him up last time with a lot of strikes. Put together an inning with 4 singles, scored 2 runs, but since then it's been forget about it.
One and 2. Here's a little perspective for you. The year Cosart graduated from high school, the Rays were working their way to the World Series in 2008. How about that?
Yeah. and like you had mentioned early on, I mean, this was a 38th round. Didn't come the ballyhooed top pick in the nation. 38th, it became a mega prospect rather quickly.
Escobar throws out Krause. 1 away in the 8th. So we go back around to the top of the Houston order. Gilmore. He singled to start the game, and that led to the first run. Gilmore and Carter have scored the runs, both driven in by the catcher, Carlos Corporal. A ball. Two and nothing. Price has still to run the count to 3 balls here. Behind Elmore, 2-0. So here he is, 7 1/3 into his 3rd start since coming off the DL, and has had only 1 3-ball count. Ground ball through the middle, base hit into center. Elmore has his 2nd hit.
Second baseman, Jose Altuve.
That will be Jose Altuve. Altuve's nothing out of 3. Struck out on a curveball in the 6th inning. 1 of 3 Price strikeouts. Runner breaks from first. Pitch is a strike, and the throw is a strike right on the bag. And Zobrist put the tag on him as soon as he received the throw from Molina.
You know, Molina does not that he doesn't have a strong arm, but he doesn't show it off. What he does is get rid of the ball quickly. He's not back there airmailing it. He gets the ball out of his glove and on the way to second base about as quick as anybody in the game. Look at that. And accurate. Just lays it right there, and Elmore slides right into it. That is beautiful. I like to see Molina do that. You know, there are a lot of catchers that will hose up and throw you a strike down there with a lot of fuzz on it. They got that long windup, and it takes a little bit too long. Molina says, forget that. I'll just get the ball out, get it on its way, and he has enough on it.
Two strikes the count to Altuve. Ball. 1-2. Rays with a couple shots left. They're down 2-0. Reaches out, sends it into right, and there's Myers. He got a nice jump. Makes the catch to haul it in. Bottom half of the 8th coming. 2-0 Houston. Bottom of the 8th inning against Jared Cosart, who through 7 innings tonight has allowed the Rays only 1 hit, couple of walks. James Loney will open the bottom of the 8th for the Rays. And Loney looks at a fastball, strike call, pitch 92. Cosart walked Jennings to open the 4th. He walked Myers with 1 out in the 5th. Gave up a 1-out base hit to Zobrist in the 7th. That's it.
Well, then after the disappointment of giving up that base hit and falling behind Evan Longoria, he's able to come right back, get a ground ball double play to get out of the inning.
The only time the Rays have had a man as far as second base was Jennings when he swiped second in the 4th. Cozart had gone 7-4 at Oklahoma City with a .319 earned run average. And a foul ball off Loney's foot. There's some speculation that with Cozart being called up by Houston, it could be the beginning of some of their younger players getting the call.
And that's what you would expect. You know, they've taken a look at, boy, that got him on the inside of the knee. Ooh, boy, that will hurt. My goodness. And so often you see those off the front foot. Loney on that ball in, trying to get the hands in. Bangs it off his knee. But yeah, now's the time. You know, these guys have been toiling away in the minor leagues, and the guys that are putting it together down there, showing some consistency, are going to get. They're going to be the next wave of guys that get a look here by the Astros.
2-2.
Again, it just goes back to opportunity. And if you're a member of the Houston organization, now is the time to seize upon it. Be a part of the future.
A base hit into right for Loney. Yeah, Loney's favoring that right knee as he headed to first.
Yeah, ball down in the zone, and Loney goes down and gets it. Yeah, you can see right there, absolutely feeling that foul ball.
Yeah, he wants to test it by running up the right field line. Paul Harker's going to come out to take a look at him.
And Paul Harker looks like he's ready for his. Yeah, I mean, let's try to get a good look at him. Defense of his belt. The octagon.
Man's going to come out here. A little word from Paul Harker.
The inside of the knee is such a tender area, and because, you know, it's another one of the joints, your elbow, knee, not a lot of places for the swelling to go, so those things can stiffen up in a hurry. Not to mention pain.
To look at the ball making contact with the inside of the right knee, and boy, that was a direct shot.
Yep.
Well, you can see how much discomfort he is in, and yet he was able to finish that at bat, line a base hit into right.
Yeah, still trying to keep that thing loose. That's the big key. Keep it loose.
There's Will Myers. Pitch outside. Well, the decision also involves Loney being able to run as quickly as he can.
Yep.
In this situation where the Rays are down by 2, it's late. We're in the bottom of the 8th.
And Jared Cozart, if he wanted to, probably could go out of the windup because he's not going anywhere.
Ground ball, second base. Altuve Elmore, and over to first for the double play. And again, Cozart throws a double play ball as he did in the 7th. He gets another one here in the 8th. This one he races the leadoff base hit.
And that was huge. Of course it was huge. But boy, when you get the leadoff man aboard, such an opportunity to score and break through, and then he immediately gets the routine 4-6-3 double play.
And here's the other thing about him. We talk about his velocity, 95, maybe 96, and higher at times. But his ground ball ratio in the minor leagues, outstanding. Outstanding ground ball. And he's thrown 3 double play balls tonight. And there's a ground ball. That's going to be a fair ball. And Joyce is out. First base unassisted. One hit, a double play, and nobody left. And through 8, it's 2-0 Houston. Go to the 9th. Beat the Heat this season with a summer 6-pack. Choose any 6 Rays home games starting at just $12 per game and receive up to $30 in concession credits at Tropicana Field. All purchasers receive a Burst Pass Blue membership that comes with access to special promotions and rewards. Visit RaysBaseball.com/6-pack today. David Price has made just 75 pitches through 8 innings in this game. He made 70 in 7 innings against Houston on the road and 75 through 8 tonight.
I mean, David Price, since coming back from the injury, has been just amazing at his command of the strike zone, and save for 1 inning. The first inning tonight, 4 singles by the Astros, accounting for the 2 runs. He's just been in complete command, and I mean, 14 balls.
Yeah, 61 strikes, 14 non-strikes. And here's Carter, who singled and scored 1 of the 2 runs in the first. Here's Carter, 1 out of 3. He struck out and grounded out since then. Pitch is up for a ball. Stands. The first 3 times through the order, 27 men he faced. 24 first pitch strikes out of the 27 hitters.
That sets you up well for success. You jumping right out there and having a count in your favor. Some guys are able to pitch better behind the count than others, but boy, does it help 0-1. 0-1, then you can start to go to work.
Fly ball into left. Joyce coming in. It's 1 away. Still time to vote on the AT&T social media poll. Tweet your votes to Sun Sports Rays, who's the biggest non-Rays American League All-Star snub? Grant Balfour? Would it be Josh Donaldson? Maybe Derek Holland, Raul Ibanez, or Adrian Beltre? J.D. Martinez. Pitch is down to him. Rays down by 2. Baltimore batting in the bottom of the 7th, leading the Blue Jays. It's 8-3 Orioles over Toronto. Red Sox play on the coast in Oakland tonight. 1-1 to count. J.J. Hardy hit his 16th home run of the year in that Baltimore game. A 3-run shot. Minnesota and New York. They're rain delayed at Yankee Stadium. No score in the bottom of the 4th. That's been that way for a while. 1-2 now on J.D. Martinez. Price 1 out into the 9th. Two. David coming off the complete game victory over the White Sox. The Rays defeated Chicago 3-1. He made 98 pitches, and that is an 82 right now. Still 2-2 to Martinez. Fewest pitches in a complete game for the Rays. James Shields in May of 2008 made 92 pitches in a complete game. Martinez fouls it back, holding the count at 2-2. Price at the moment has made 84 pitches. A popper on the right side. Ben Zobrist. 2 gone. Bases empty, 2 outs for Carlos Corporon. So far tonight, the Rays have been done in by the Houston battery. The catcher Corporon has driven in both runs, and the pitcher Jared Cosart has taken care of the rest, shutting out the Rays on 2 hits and 2 walks.
I think going up to the plate and facing David Price, it would be wise to have a clear line of sight.
Yeah, for a number of reasons. It really was eyewash. Truly. Yeah, the legitimate variety there. So Price ready, so is Corporon. And the first pitch strike. Price with 3 strikeouts tonight. No walks, 2 runs, 8 hits. Fly ball short center. Jennings is there. He's got it. 1, 2, 3 go the Astros. Rays will have Molina, Escobar, and Jennings down by 2.
Here at the Trop. Hey, don't forget tomorrow on Rays Live, presented by your Gulf Coast Honda dealers, we're going to talk about Luke Scott. Boy, how he has heated up, the adjustments that he has made at the plate. Plus, Big O has his first half report card. I understand he's a pretty tough grader. First, though, tonight's Checkers post-game show, Dwayne and B.A. bringing their take on the game. Todd Narestas, host from left field. I'll be down talking to Joe Madden and getting some player interviews from the clubhouse. So let's get 3 quick ones here, and then we'll see you on the postgame show. Guys.
Well, that's the game plan. Let's see what the Rays can do in the bottom of the 9th against Jared Cosart. Jose Molina will be lifted. Kelly Johnson will pinch hit to open the bottom of the 9th. The Rays did not have a hit until Zobrist singled with 1 out in the 7th. Loney single to lead off the 8th. And here's Johnson to hit against Cosart. First pitch is wide. No ball and no strikes. 8 innings for Cosart. Last time he pitched 8 innings, and the only other time in his pro career he was pitching for the Clearwater Threshers. 1-1 the count. Interestingly enough, against the Charlotte Stone Crabs in May of 2011. 2 balls and a strike. He steps off the mound. That's one thing that they've also stressed with him. He can get into a hurry up and rush mode, and so he just stepped back.
It speaks to his competitive nature. I mean, this guy wants to win at everything he does, and sometimes can get the better of you. You got to.
And that's ball 3.
Here's the deal. As dominant as he's been, right here are the Rays. Rays are a base runner and a bomb from tying this ball game up, thanks to the work of David Price, who's kept them right in it.
And ball 4. Kelly Johnson draws the walk to lead off. So the Rays put a man on, and that will get the potential tying run to the plate. David Price has given the Rays 9 innings on 87 pitches. 9 innings, 87 pitches.
Incredible effort. He got ambushed right out of the gate, 2 runs in the first, and then that was it. And so efficient. That's what he's been, though. I mean, look at what he's done. The first outing, 7 innings, 70 pitches with 10 strikeouts. Complete game last time out in under 100 pitches. He does it again. Well, it may not be complete. See if the Rays offense has anything to say about that.
Here's Janelle Escobar. And Bo Porter heads to the mound. The young manager out there with the young right-hander. And Cozart will depart. This has been quite a debut for this young right-hander. Time now for a Metro PCS call to the bullpen. Knocked out of the game by the Rays. He leads 2-0. He walked Kelly Johnson, but you'll notice there's a little red spot on his forehead there, and it came from the return toss from his catcher when he was looking away. How about that? His catcher knocked him out of the game.
Not fun. Unfortunately, he didn't put too much into that throw, just a toss, but yeah, that's not fun. What a night for him. Pitching into the 9th inning. 2 hits.
96 pitches.
Matching David Price pitch for pitch, and up to this point has been just a little bit better.
So Jose Veras takes over on the mound with a runner at first. Yunel Escobar in the box. Pitch had Escobar ducking a breaking ball, and not a bad breaking ball, actually.
No, if that ball's a little bit down, that's a strike, and that's all over the plate.
Take a look at this.
Tells you right there how tight the spin is on that hook.
Back with a fastball at 94.
Yeah, and Yunel Escobar coming unglued. He was looking to tie the ball game up right here.
Play the right field side into the seats. Kelly Johnson walked as a pinch hitter. Rays saw Veras over in Houston, and he closed out the 4-1 Houston win for Bud Norris. Picked up his 17th save in that outing. He's ahead of Escobar. Ground ball, Elmore short. Altuve 1. First base to Wallace 2. 6-4-3. And another double play turned by Houston. Their 4th of the night.
Now, of the routine variety. I mean, 6-4-3, about as easy as you can get. You've seen that all night long. These Astro pitchers, Cosart for the most part, now Veras. They get into a trouble with the base runner and make a quality pitch and get a 2-for-1.
And as a result of that, the Rays have left only one man on base tonight. The pitch catches the outside edge with the curveball. Jennings walked in the 4th inning, stole second. The only time the Rays have had a man as far as second base in this game. Curve stays inside. It's 1-1. Ball again stays in. As we mentioned, David Price has made only 87 pitches. Fewest pitches in a 9-inning complete game this year. Jordan Zimmerman made 91 pitches in a 1-hitter at the end of April when Washington beat Cincinnati 1-0. 87 for Price in his 9 innings tonight. The Rays are down to their last out. 2-2 the count on Desmond Jennings. The 2-2. Ground ball to short. Elmore up with it. Throw to first and safe at first base. Wallace couldn't come up with it to close it out. The throw from Elmore died, and Wallace could not pick it.
That's the second throw we've seen from Elmore on a routine play not get there. Wallace bailed him out the first time. Not this time. And this error right here, they came into the game tied for the most errors in Major League Baseball. See if the Rays can make this one extremely painful.
Well, there's Luke Scott, and he has been hot. Luke 0 for 3 in this game. Scott pinch hit against Veras over in Houston and grounded out pitcher first. Hitting against him here tonight, and the pitch is a strike. In fact, Veras got Scott for the last out in that game that we previously mentioned, won by Houston over there 4-1. So here's Scott with another shot at Veras. Low. 1-1. So with 2 outs, the Rays are still alive on Elmore's throwing error. Scott hit one a mile yesterday in the wrap-up game of the Minnesota series. The 1-1. He bounces it foul. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Orioles continue to lead the Blue Jays 8-3, bottom of the 8th in Baltimore. Rays batting down to their last out in the bottom of the 9th. David Price looking on from the dugout. He was very good tonight, gave up 2 first-inning runs and nothing after that. There's ball 2. Harris wide with the breaking ball attempt. 8 innings plus for the 23-year-old Jared Cosard in his major league debut. He walked Johnson to start the inning, and then Ferris got the double play ball out of Escobar. Got a ground ball from Jennings, but he reached on the error. The 2-2 to Scott. Down and in. Jennings takes second in difference. So it's a full count. Zobrist would be next if Scott could keep it going. Rays coming in with an 8-game winning streak. They won 12 of 13. And in that stretch, they've averaged a little over 5 runs a game. No runs tonight. Three-2, and just enough of it to foul it and stay alive on another curveball.
And Veras is such max effort and max right here on this pitch. That ball starts away, and you see Corcoran going out to get it awkwardly. And then trying to get back into the zone. Well, he really can spin the breaking ball.
Scott has hit over 370 for the last 3 weeks. He's battling Veras. Three-two pitch. One more time. And he fouls a fastball. Veras came in at 95 that time. Jennings at second base for the second time tonight. 2 outs, 9th inning. And a line shot up the right side, gonna be foul. He got around on the fastball, pulled it foul. Out of play.
That fastball was middle. And Luke just out in front a little bit. You see that right there, trying to hit off that back leg and drive that ball out of here. A little too quick.
So Veras and Corcoran talk it over again on the mound. Veras in relief of Cosard. Cosard, by the way, in the 50-plus year history of the Houston franchise, the first Astro pitcher ever to pitch 8+ scoreless innings in his major league debut. An 8-pitch battle so far. Here comes the 9th pitch. Veras to Scott. And a liner in. into center. Base hit. Here comes Jennings in to score. And it's 2-1. Boy, Luke Scott battled. And on the 9th pitch, he drives in the run. The Rays are still in business.
But what an at-bat. What an at-bat by Luke Scott. Fouled off some tough pitches. Then he gets a breaking ball here and stays on it, through it, and gets it up the middle. Rays claw to within 1.
Now Sam Fuld will pinch run for Scott. And it will be Zobrist against Veras with Fuld running. Ben got the first Rays hit off the Astros rookie right-hander when he singled with 1 out in the 7th. So he's 1 for 3. Fuld back in at first. Zobrist had a big hit here on Wednesday. A walk-off. Here he is in the bottom of the 9th inning tonight. And he takes a pitch wide. Fuld with a lead and a move to first. Walk, an error, a base hit in the inning. The error with 2 outs gave the Rays a chance. They've turned that into a run. And the pitch, that's a strike. Fastball in, 1-1.
And that was a good checkup there by Ben Zobrist, even though it was a strike. Not many good percentages in this pitch right here where that was located. Wait for a better one.
Pulled again away from the bag. He's going. The pitch out. Base hit into center field. Fuld going to go to third. Barnes up with the ball in center. And they're going to hold Fuld at third. First and third with 2 outs. Sam took a peek to see where that ball was going to wind up in center. Had a full head of steam and went into third.
Now, the outfielders were deep, too, and Barnes had to go a long way. You see where he's at, well beyond the burst out there in center. Sam Fuld with the running start. He's got to get to that ball and get it in quickly. Made a nice turn of that bag, and not easy to do as he had a straight line to second. Able to quickly make the turn, get to third, and how about this situation? It's a ground ball to short. This game should be over.
Yep. The Rays have followed the error with a hit from Scott. Base hit from Zobrist. And they'll get Evan Longoria up here. 3 for 3 in his career off Jose Veras. And he takes a first pitch, a curveball, strike 1. And the Rays on the board. Now men first and third. Thrown outside. Corcoran out there to make sure he was in front of the curveball.
Now you've got to be ready for that. Veras, that's a big weapon for him, especially against right-handed power hitter like Evan Longoria. Corcoran's got to anticipate that ball potentially in the dirt. and be active back behind the plate with the runner 90 feet away.
The 1-1. And that's in there. Stand with a curveball. 1-2.
This one he starts in off the plate, breaks it right to the inside corner.
Boy, what a tough pitch that is.
Yeah. And the ball comes out of the hand. It looks like it's coming right at you. Tough to pull the trigger.
And a shot foul. Another curveball, and that one pulled out of play.
Almost went to the well one too many times, and Evan was right on it again, like Luke Scott. A little bit too quick, though. We're going to follow that right down and hammer it, and he knows it's foul right off the bat.
Rays have scored an unearned run with 2 outs. Have a run on 4 hits tonight. 1-2 the count to Evan Longoria. And a bouncer foul. Stand right with a curveball. Well, Evan hit the home run yesterday. His first extra base hit in 47 at-bats. His 18th home run of the year when he and Scott went back-to-back.
And the longest drought of his career without an extra base hit.
Here's the 1-2. Outside fastball. Mid-90s, and it's a 2-2 count. The 2-2. There goes Zobrist. And strike 3 called. Fastball on the outside corner at 95. A called third strike ends this game, and it's 2-1 Houston. Rays leave 2 men on in the 9th inning and fall a run short.
And I think that Evan Longoria had to be sitting breaking ball, waiting for that curveball to come in there to take a rip. Very rarely you're going to see him take a fastball for a called third strike. But I think after the previous one, he went right back to the breaking ball, and this one able to catch that outside corner at the top of the zone.
There it is on the outside edge. Boy, I'll tell you, Veras made some great pitches. That curveball for strike 2, and then the call third strike. Cozart will get the win. Price suffers the loss. 2-1 the final. Back with the totals in a moment.